This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, miniatures, and paints, discount prices at miniaturemarket.com. Hi everybody, welcome to yet another Painting 101. Now today is a little different than what we normally would do. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to learn how to paint and stuff like that, and we're going to continue on the series on how to do that. But I think what we're really going to take a look at today is basically my table and how I set up to paint. Now you could do it however you want, but I'm just going to give you guys some ideas. I'm going to show you some of the cheapo brushes that I can use that you guys can use as well. Not everything has to be the greatest of quality to get decent quality. We're not here to brag like a lot of people do, or you know, show off or belittle people. What we're trying to do is just get people to pick up brushes and take a chance at painting something that is theirs, so it means more to you. When you open up that game, and you know, you may love a game like Zombicide Green Horde, or it could be anything, Rising Sun, Blood Rage. It's one thing to have the game, but it's another thing when you paint it and it means something to you and you remember that experience. And that's what I try to do here with Painting 101, is give you an experience, something that you can go by, but don't have to go by, because by far I am not a very good painter at all. I am just someone that enjoys the paint and just enjoys talking about it with you guys, the community. So let's go down the table and take a look at my work area. Now here you see is basically what I use. Now I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought one of these cutting mats, and I think they work out very, very well for what I'm trying to accomplish. The other thing that you're going to need, of course, and we look at the models, as you can see, these are some of the models that we have done recently. And you can see we base some of them. So of course you're going to have your basing materials nearby, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Now for me, you can use a cup, you can use a plastic cup, you can use one of those little red cups and things like that, but I really like this. I saw this at a flea market, and my wife got it. She was going to do fondue in it, but I decided when she didn't want it anymore that I was going to take it over, because the top half I can keep water in, the bottom half I can put a little bit of water here and keep this nice and wet and use it to mix paint, you know, or thin down my paints, depending on what I'm painting, if the paint's too thick and so forth and so on. And as you can see, it's very easy to clean. I just haven't cleaned it in a while. Now, I like to use an assortment of glue when I'm putting things together. But everybody always asks, what type of glue do I really, really enjoy to use? And Loctite is my glue of choice. Now, they have a couple of versions of it. As you can see, this is the Ultra Gel Control version. I got it at Hobby Lobby. And they have the real liquid control, super ultra control, and it's supposed to dry quicker and really get things done. And I use this for kind of metal things and so forth and so on. Now, of course, I've got a good pair of clippers to chip off any kind of edges or anything or any excess. And I have an X-Acto knife, but I'm pretty good with this, and I enjoy using this. The other thing I have is one of these in case I'm using a Vallejo. So I can actually put a couple drops in there and work it through and do it that way, instead of my, of course, all-time favorite, which is, of course, Citadel paint. Another thing I like to have on hand, and this is just a gloss varnish. Every time I go to Hobby Lobby, I try to pick up some kind of specialty paint that is going to help out, and a gloss varnish, you know, for jewels or for certain things that I really want to stand out. Another thing is brushes. Let's talk about brushes. Now, brushes are always a controversial type of topic. As you can see here, I have the Fine Touch brush set that you can get for about $4. I like to use these. They have nice tight edges. I really enjoy using these because I know the feel of paint, so I know how to move it around. They may not last as long, but I do use them. I do enjoy picking up a number of different sets. I also have these Fine Touch brushes, as you can see, with the nice flat parts on them, and I use these as coverage brushes. I will, of course, spend a few dollars. For what I paid for this, I think I paid $4.99. I got this almost for the same thing. Well, these were $7.99. But I always pick up a couple of very, very good brushes, and I always have them on hand because I am a big person about having feel with brushes and using good brushes, especially for extreme detail work. You want to have some good brushes, but I've also used these depending on how I feel. And here's another one, and I just buy a lot of assortment of different brushes. I go through them pretty quickly, but I also paint a lot of figures, and I usually just have this, and I just kind of keep everything in here. I do have a brush box that I use, and it's very effective. And of course, you know all about the assortment of paints that I use. I use anything from Vallejo to Army Painter to Citadel. It really depends. But the main thing is getting the brushes that having enough brushes and an assortment cheap that certain days you have certain feels, and I really believe that. And for me, that's the way I feel. Sometimes I'm more confident with one brush than I am with a different brush. So that's why I buy so many of these different types of value packs and mix in these more expensive brushes. These Master Touches I really, really enjoy, and I think they are very, very good brush, and I enjoy using them. So, and I get a good result from them. And that's all that matters, is what you get out of all this. So, like I said, I buy a variance of things. I even go get snow because, sometimes you need to have a snow base. I like building different bases, and that's something that we're going to be talking about in the near future for some time. But getting brushes that are comfortable for you are most important. So here's kind of how I have everything set up and how I do things. And, I'm getting ready to paint, some Shadespire. We're going to do some dwarfs. I'm going to do some Blood Bowl dwarfs at the same time, so I can stay in a certain consistency and really get a lot of stuff done. And we're going to talk about brush cleaners coming up in our next episode of Painting 101. So I hope you'll join us for that. But in the meantime, let's go on up top and get on out of here. There you have it. Just a quick type of look to see some of the stuff that I use. Like I said, I don't use the most expensive brushes. You don't need to have the most expensive brushes. I do have some very, very expensive brushes, very good brushes, like particularly this one here from Army Painter, which are just really good. And I meant to say Army Painter paints. I said Army Builder. I don't know why I keep on messing that up. But the main thing here is get what you're comfortable to work with. I think try to get good brushes to start. And get a set of cheaper brushes, because you're going to learn that you're going to make some mistakes and you're going to ruin some brushes. Better to ruin the cheap ones instead of the good ones. And I always, because of the amount I paint and dry brush and stuff like that, I always try to get a cheaper brush that's good and I feel good about, and I know how to apply paint. You'll learn that in time. There's certain things that you're really going to want to do, and especially when you're dry brushing for the first time, you may want to get one of these, which work very, very well for dry brushing. So and we'll talk more about that as we go. But this is just kind of a basic setup. You want to have water, you want to have a good clean area, you want to have your paints nearby, you want to have a pair of clippers or pliers or whatever you want to call them. to clean off any excess off your model. You want to have glue in case you're gluing models around. You want to have some paper towels around. And of course, brushes, paint, and then you're off to the races. But the most important thing is having the models to paint and the games to paint. And just enjoy the experience. Keep your area clean, keep plenty of room, make sure you have plenty of elbow room so we don't make messes. They're going to happen every once in a while, such as fate is. But just express yourself through painting and enjoy painting your miniatures. That's it for this week's Painting 101. Until next time, I'm Rob Warren. We'll see you soon.